Srikant, my last question to you, as you're the man of the day and man of the moment. You had, and I find that very interesting about your book. The initial part of your book is dedicated to discussing the various committee reports, the background in which the IBC was evolved. Obviously, a lot of thought and a lot of expertise has gone into it. Do you think that the IBC has addressed those concerns? Do you think there are a couple of lacuna which we can sort of help, like Dr. Binani say, even make the best better?
See, I have fundamentally believed after in my limited experience that there is nothing called free lunches. In economics, there is nothing called free lunches. So IBC is preceded by a case where banks had given loans to all types of companies, be it power sector company, real estate companies, steel industries, every because India was booming at that time. The GDP was growing, and our country, the banks were encouraged to invest more into the businesses. Now, I will not go into the details that how banking finance is not a good idea. Equity financing is always a better idea to go about in an industry. In our country, when things were smooth, banks invested more than the promoters who were bringing in money. Now, when banks started investing their money, businesses, when they started dwindling, be it Kingfisher business, be it Bhushan Steel, SR Steel, in all those cases, what had happened, it created problem for the government. That how does the government keep pouring in the money to save these banks? The government opted for two ways. First was IBC, that we will take these companies through the IBC route. Any other private individual entity, if is interested in investing into these companies, let us salvage whatever limited we can come out of it. And in that, the IBC was a huge success because the success story of Bhushan Steel, success story of SR Steel, these were the instances because steel sector was still very much booming in that time. So we were able to find private players. Now, what about companies like Alok Industries? What about countries like Gangotri, which had 5,000 crore of dues, no asset? There are companies which are into construction, countries which industries which are indulged into road making businesses, collection of tolls. They do not have any asset. They'll take up money from the bank, put in money. What if a permission is stopped and the road construction process does not take off? Now, how does the bank recover? Now the banks would again approach the government that please save us. Banks don't have money, they have money of the depositors. Now government, instead of pouring money through that, they opted for the second way. First was IBC, that if there are private takers, take this company. Second would be the government issuing bonds. Government started issuing bonds to the banks that take these bonds from us. We will put in that money into your bank. You pay us after some time whenever your financial condition is helpful. These two, this combo that was delivered post 2016, which was started by Shri Raghuram Rajan, then Shri Urjit Patel, I really feel that these two people have been monumentally instrumental, and they have been the most decisive people to have taken up this issue, because for far too long we have been prolonging it, we have been delaying it, procrastinating it. Now the time had come for every person to realize that there are no free lunches. The government cannot keep pouring in money. The government, if is asked to pour money into the businesses or save banks, it is going to increase taxes on people only. Now, as a society, we generally never realize that banks are also a form of business only. We felt that banks are the safest option, which is not. I think IBC has brought in this change in the mindset where people are now coming to terms with it. Like Dr. Sahu had mentioned, in 2019, the stats were about 4,400 cases did not go through the CIRP process, they were settled out of it. We had recovered about 2 lakh crore out of it. So IBC has instilled that fear in the promoter's mind. It has given the banks that respite which they needed because they were not accountable when the things were smooth. Everyone had felt that a rosy day will keep on shining on us. But the sun had set on the empire, and this empire was to face all these issues. And I think we are not done with it. We are still going to face all these issues. The subsequent governments also, the present government is also toiling with it. It is grappling with how to cope up the optics of it. If a bank fails, the immediate reflection is on the government. So I feel IBC, in that way, in financial service providers, if they are brought under, the notification is out, the case of DHFL is already underway, which was brought in by the RBI. The idea is only and only to treat banking sector as an industry. IBC is basically one of the ways to go about it. With that, I hope IBC will certainly stays. Like Dr. Sahu was mentioning about pre-packaged insolvency programs, that everyone in India wants to shift the failure. That cannot happen. The buck has to stop. 20 years ago, if the buck had stopped with the banks, the government would come in. Now the government cannot. No government in their right mind would save a bank by raising the taxes from people. I feel a lot of insolvency professionals, they have worked round the clock, such as Ms. Binani. She was the first one. There are many eminent resolution professionals. I think in Mumbai, there is Udayaraj Patwardhan, and there is in Delhi, Mr. Goel, Anil Goel. I think we have had numerous discussions on this topic, and all wonderfully said that this law is here to stay, and this law has certainly changed a big deal of mentality that had gone into it. Earlier, India was grappling with as we used to say, Hindu rate of growth. Now we have come on to our own post 91. We want to be taken seriously. We are being taken seriously. In order to be taken more seriously, I think we are on the right track. We are being very professional in this. And the IBBI, I must really commend. That is one of state-of-the-art website, state-of-the-art research material. I think Dr. Sahu has done wonders with it. With his appointment to IBBI, it was already touted that the government, that late Shri Jaitley ji, has put his best foot forward. And I think I am, in my growing stages, I am witnessing something surreal. I don't think I could have, and people before me had seen anything of that sort. And I don't think people will be able to see. I am telling him also that it is incumbent on him to find a great successor for IBBI also, because that institution is going to stay, and it has saved the IB code with its timely regulations, amendments, and cross-border reports, group insolvency reports, personal insolvency reports. That research that he's putting into it, remarkable. With that, I think I should really sum up my. I hope that suffices an answer to your query.
Thank you, Akan. That does. And I think we should also conclude our discussion. It's more than an hour since we all began. And I think just to sum up, I think all the panelists are agreed that the IBC is an astounding success, both in terms of reduction of time as well as in recovery of dues. I was told in 2018, our gross NPAs were about 10 lakh crore NPAs. And in 2019, it has come down by 1 lakh crore. So it's now 9 lakh crores. And I'm sure Dr. Sahu will, is in a better position to enlighten us. But yes, there's been substantial recovery. And I think what has also come out from this discussion is that the IBC itself is a deterrent. I think all corporate debtors are aware that such a law exists and that they will be put to task, and very efficiently and very quickly. And I think that in itself is important to ensure that many people do not default, and if they default, they quickly repay the loans. So yes, I think the consensus is IBC is a success, and it's very heartening to know that we have everybody on this panel in different capacities, as in the judicial capacity, in a resolution capacity, in a policy making capacity, Dr. Sahu, that people from different capacities give us all hope that a lot more is being done at every level. The judges are trying to see how they can be innovative, and even though group insolvency is not there, to try and facilitate it. We have resolution professionals who are trying to be proactive and to ensure that more resolutions take place. And then we have Dr. Sahu, who is constantly in the forefront of policy. And Dr. Sahu, I mean, we are heartened to know that you're looking into prepackaged policies, you're looking into cross border. So that was another interesting topic we wanted to discuss today on cross border insolvency, but unfortunately, time does not permit us to even go down that path. So I think, yes, we've had an exciting 4 years under IBC, and I have no doubt that the next 4 years or 10 years is also going to be very exciting, and there's going to be a lot of, this is an evolving jurisprudence, and with all of you at the helm in at different levels, I think I'm very optimistic about the future of IBC. So thank you all very, very much.
I just want to conclude once. I really want to thank Honorable Justice Suryakant sir, Dr. Sahu, Professor Anvesh Singh, Dr. Singh, Justice Singh, and Ms. Padmanabhan for sparing time, and Ms. Minani for her kindest words, and the positivity that I received from every person I mentioned just now. I think that really encourages me to keep working, and I think my family is also watching this, and I really thank them also for, and I apologize for keep ranting a lot of times, and thank you for bearing with me, and thank you all. And Mr. Malik, please accept my deepest regards for you. It is an honor and a pleasure knowing you and working with you.
One last request to the panelists from EBC. I'm told that there are so many queries coming up in the chat box because of the nature of our topic. So if you do have the time, we'd be extremely grateful if you could post your reply on the SEC blog, if I'm not mistaken. Nilofa, I'll hand it over to you to clarify on that aspect. Thank you all very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am.